Okay, as I said, I'll be talking about the X-Men. Now, this is a pretty good trilogy. The reboot one is alright. The Wolverine spin-off one, well, Logan's the best. The Wolverine's alright. X-Men Origins is shit. But I'm talking about the original X-Men trilogy. Starting with pretty good adaptation from 2000, X-Men. Main problem with these films: the theme song from the awesome cartoon of the 90s isn't in it. Not used. It's just some weird trance urban soundtrack thing. The visuals are quite good. This was an independent film, but it was a huge blockbuster. Sure, Wolverine vs. Sabretooth was very abysmal. Rebecca Romijn as Mystique, awesome. Halle Berry as Storm, awesome. The legendary Ray Park as Toad, sweet. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, controversial, but hey, he nailed it. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, and the amazing, the fantastic Ian McKellen as Magneto. Famke Janssen as Dark Phoenix. You got fan favorite Cyclops in there, who got treated terrible. Jean Grey, that's it, Jean Grey. Yeah, Cyclops was treated terribly. As you know what happened. Yeah, the X-Men franchise didn't really treat their characters well. I mean, look at Jubilee. Look what they did with the Rogue. They cut all their scenes and then they did the Rogue cut. Iceman's dumbed down in these. You see his true form for like 5 seconds and then he's taken out the picture. Like, come on, these are famous superheroes and heroines. And great villains. The whole I'm the Juggernaut bitch. Like, okay, the first one, it introduces the main characters. You got the X-Men, you got the Brotherhood of Mutants. They fight. They have their debates. There's council meetings. Seems a little slow, but it works. It works for a good first film. And then you got one of the best sequels. This is arguably the best X-Men film. Yeah, you got Days of Futures Past, but I prefer X-Men Apocalypse. It's more straightforward. Wasn't all over the place. It wasn't big, but it was direct. Just like this one. It's direct and to the point. Lots of action, great effects. The fights are better, the humor is there. It's a bit darker, more violent. It's how a sequel to a comic book film franchise should be. And of course, you got the big, damn bloated third one. It was the biggest hit. Didn't really win over many fans because heaps of characters came and then they were cut off. Like, what they did with Mystique was a mistake. I mean, they did so much cutting, they rebooted. First Class was alright. Pretty fun. And yeah, Days of Future Past, okay. Big, bold, yep. But they killed off characters. X-Men Apocalypse. Now, that should have been the second. And then Days of Future Past. Third, because the second one was the bigger, bold one. And the third one was just Yeah. And then there's talks of the X-Men coming into the MCU. Talks about whether Hugh Jackman will be Wolverine again. We'll get someone else. There's rumors of Tom Hardy, Henry Cavill. Now he's not Superman anymore. They're going to reboot Superman. Stop it. Superman has had many of the shit films. Honestly. There's only 2 good Superman films. The original and Superman 2. Richard Donner just makes no sense. But yeah, the X-Men got rebooted, got spin-offs, which are sequels, but they're reboots, but they're prequels, and now the MCU and the Fantastic Four is getting up. Just released the original 1994 Fantastic Four. Yeah, the 1990 Fantastic Four. From Roger Corman. That's better than the stupid 2015 flop. And it's probably better than the next reboot. If you can't get it right the first time, don't try again. These are comic book films. It's easy to adapt a video game, but when you're adapting a comic, you gotta get it right. Sure, there's some changes. There's added powers, but that happens in many iterations. Now, I mentioned Spider-Man. Did I? No. I'm gonna mention Spider-Man. He's been rebooted too many times. The first time, it didn't work because the second one had too much. So they canned the third. But I like it how he had organic webs. Because he was bitten by a spider. He could do whatever a spider could. But in the comics and The Amazing Spider-Man and Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, he made his own web shooters. So he didn't have the full power of a spider. He could crawl on walls. He had spider sense. He was fast. Those freaking things are fast. But he made his own web shooters. That's why I love the original Spider-Man trilogy. Because he is all Spider-Man. But that was controversial. But it makes more sense than him making his own web. And then when he gets too emotional, he can't produce the web. But when he clears his mind, boom. And clearing your mind, well, Charles Xavier. He can get inside your head. Like Jean Grey. She gets out of your head. We had her origin story. Yeah. Origin stories, prequels, they're shit. There's some bad sequels, but for the majority, sequels are better than prequels, remakes, reboots. I love the original X-Men trilogy. I love the original Spider-Man trilogy. So the new stuff that came out is okay, but for the most of it, the original is what matters. Because it did work. Sure, the third is the reason things get rebooted. I mean, look at Batman. See how bloated this has got? I mean, meant to be talking about the X-Men. But I have. The prequel trilogy, First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse, they had their costumes, and we wanted to see the live-action Wolverine costume, but we didn't get it. Until we did, but it was deleted. And now that deleted scene apparently is going to be used in the next Wolverine. So again, they stuffed it up. It wouldn't have looked hammy, it would have been hokey. Look how cheesy Batman got. Look how stupid Superman went. Look how caught in a web Spider-Man was. Look how dumb the Fantastic Four is. What about the Hulk? The Avengers. Crazy. different costumes. Sometimes those costumes are brought into later comics. Dare I say, devil. There's no love for the Phantom. It's that extreme, man. I get it. X-Men. The mutants. They always argue who's the most powerful. Well, who is the most powerful X-Men? You got the metalhead Magneto. You got the mind-reading Charles Xavier. You got the clawing, ripping, snarling Wolverine. You got the shape-shifting Mystique. I'd say it's her. Because she can be any other X-Men, X-Woman. But if she transforms into Charles, does her mind-reading powers increase? Or can she not do that? Because Charles won't let her. Well, there's a flaw. Every powerful being has a flaw. They call the Juggernaut. Mystique is a wild bitch. And yeah, Juggernaut is... Yeah, I went there, I punned. Ooh. Now my mind's telling me something. I should take a step back. I might have a rest. And I'll let someone else do the talking. Scare you after.